Hi guys, welcome to Multiverse. Some of you guys have been asking if I could make an electric healer loadout, so we're going to use our friend the Flash to be able to show you that. Yeah, the name is Flash Fury, but sadly within the context of DC Universe Online, this is about as close to the Flash as I was able to get. So let's get started. Also, full disclosure, there's a lot of people who try to play what is known as hybrid roles. Basically, they try to play what is known as combat healer or a damage healer. I forget what the actual name is. And sadly, they usually fail miserably. Very often, they'll do very poor damage and they'll do very poor healing. So personally, I prefer to focus on healing. If I play as a healer, I focus on healing, and I would much prefer if players would do that. Sadly, you don't control what other players do, but all I can really do is suggest that have a loadout that has a lot of healing powers, so that you can actually heal on. Usually, as a healer, you're going to be Johnny on the spot, so you have to go around and you have to be able to react to as soon as you see people losing life. Sometimes you have to react very quickly to be able to heal them. And if you have I've seen a lot of people who will put one healing power in their loadout, and they think that's enough to heal. And of course, once their power is on cooldown, they cannot use it. Something happens, and oops, people die. So I would strongly suggest, this is pretty much a loadout I would suggest for, not just for electric healer, but for most healer. Like you can see, you have your group heal, you have your priority heal, and I have basically this is my heal over time. And this is one of my group heal. Basically, this would also work more or less as a group heal. I would be tempted to replace Arc Lightning with Ironing Drain, but I will go through the whole bit. It might make a bit more sense. So basically, the very first heal I would suggest is Recover. This is your group heal. What it does is that it heals you and 3 other members of your group. If you're in an alert, it heals everyone. If you're in a raid, it heals about half the group. I say about because once in a while you'll have groups where there's only 6 or 7 of us because some people leave the instance. And there's the priority heal. Basically what this means is that the heal is cast as soon as you cast it, and you can heal one person and yourself. So if you see one, and that's also another reason why I suggest people to have multiple heals, because it's situational. If you see half the group, like if you see like 3-4 players who actually need a heal, you cast Recover. If you see only one guy who actually need heals, then you cast a Bioelectric Surge. Yes, you could cast Recover if you have no other choice, but if you can manage to, and also you can see there's a difference in the power cost. So if you only need one, I know that it's only 50 power the difference, but sometimes it can make a difference between the controller being able to give you enough power or the controller struggling with power. So if you need to heal one guy, you cast a Bioelectric Surge. If you need to heal 3 people and you, then you go with Recover. For the supercharge, I would go with Group Transducer. I'm not too crazy about the shields for healers, but basically I don't really care about the shield part. What I care about is the group members are healed over time. So it's one option you have to have a heal over time if for some reason Galvanize is not available, which would be surprising because the cooldown of Galvanize is fairly quick. But Group Transducer could be, it's multi-useful. If you need a shield, you have it. If you need a heal over time, you have it. And also it protects from incoming damage, so it does more than one thing. Usually in my loadout, I love powers that do multiple things. That way it gives you a lot more versatility. I see a lot of people who will be mono-focused. They will focus only on one thing. And technically with healer, I focused on healing. But if I have powers that allow me to do multiple things, even better. Galvanize is your heal over time. I'm not sure why there are players who wait and wait and wait and wait until the group is back down to half their health, a quarter of the health, and then when people reach like 5-10% of their health, then they start casting their heal over time. There's absolutely no reason to do that. I know that some people may be concerned about wasting power, but basically the controller, if you have a good controller in your group, or even if you have a controller period in your group, the controller gives you what is known as the power over time. Every 5 seconds, it gives you a tick of power. So if your bar is full because you're not casting any heal, well, you're pretty much wasting the power over time that the controller is giving you. So there is no reason Ideally, in a group, the controller will keep the power over time going and going and going to make sure that everyone gets power. And the healer should do pretty much the same thing for the heal over time. You should keep it going and going and going. That way, you maximize, you pretty much use the power over time that the controller is giving you. You're making sure you're not wasting it. But also, if some of your group gets hurt a bit, they get a bit of heal constantly. And usually, heal over time, as it says, it heals over a certain amount of time. But Galvanize does also what is known as a burst heal. Basically, a burst heal is that you cast the power, and as soon as you cast the power, it heals people. As opposed to the heal over time, which heals over a long period of time. And Galvanize is actually both. It's a heal over time, but also as you cast it, you do heal a big burst of damage right away as you cast it. So it's a multi-purpose in this. If you need a burst, you can cast Galvanize, but you can just cast it once in a while just to keep the heal over time going. So it's one of the things that I love about Galvanize, I suppose. Biocapacitor is your group heal. If you see that pretty much everyone in your group is struggling with health or needs some health, then you go with a Biocapacitor. Also, if the health of your group members falls with below 45% within the next 30 seconds, they will get some of their health restored. So basically, this is your group heal. If pretty much everyone in the group needs health, you could go and cast Galvanize and then cast a Biocapacitor if really people need help right now. But as you can see, it has a pretty long cooldown, so you use Biocapacitor when you really need to. But as a rule, you probably use Galvanize. You could sometimes you could even spam Galvanize. You could spam Galvanize a bit, then use Biocapacitor, then spam Galvanize if you still need to, and it will heal pretty much everyone in your group. And last but not least, I went with Arc Lightning. I was tempted to go maybe with Ionic Drain, but the cooldown of Ionic Drain is a bit longer, so I went with Arc Lightning. So basically, Ionic Drain is a bolt of lightning that will damage enemies a bit. It will stun them a bit, and it will heal yourself and a few of your friends. I'm not sure if it heals. If there's a set amount of people it heals, or if it heals up to all 8 players. But it's a good option to be able to heal pretty much everyone at least a little bit. And obviously, what you will do is that you will cycle through your powers. You don't just spam Galvanize, you don't just spam Arc Lightning, or you don't just spam Recover. You have to go depending on what the situation asks for. Ideally, you want to keep Galvanize going. You want to keep the heal over time going with Galvanized. But then as the situation calls for it, again, if you see half your group needs health, you go with Recover. If you need just one guy that needs health, then you go with Bioelectric Surge. So you basically cycle through your powers as you need to. It's going to be a little tough to show you because there's no training dummy, there's no sparring target that can help you test your healing powers. So I guess you're gonna have to trust me on that. So basically, as I mentioned, you cast your healing over time first. So you see there's usually a whole bunch of lightning that lets you know that the healing over time is going. So you try to cast your healing over time and you keep it going as much as you can. Here, sadly, we're not in combat, in actual real combat. Usually the heal over time lasts a bit longer than that. And if there's 3 people in yourself, or like 2, 3, 4 people that actually need health, then you go with Recover. If you only need to heal one person and maybe yourself, then you go with Bioelectric Surge. And if you see that pretty much everyone in the group needs help, then you go with Biocapacitor. And you saw how long the cooldown was with Biocapacitor. So if, let's say, you're on cooldown with Biocapacitor, then you could try to use Galvanize to give a bit more health, or you could use Arc Lightning to give a bit more health. And nothing stops you from using all 3. So you could basically cycle through Galvanize, Biocapacitor, and Arc Lightning, and you can see the cooldowns of all the abilities, which is also why I said you need to have more than one healing abilities, because otherwise, if all your abilities are on cooldown, then you have no more. You're not able to heal people if they need to. So ideally, you keep Galvanize going as much as you can. You use Arc Lightning. Arc Lightning does a bit of damage, but you mostly use it to be able to heal most people in your group. So if you need to heal the full group, you go with your heal that heals the whole group. If you need to heal only 3 people, you go with that heal, with your group heal. And if you need to heal on only one person, you go with your priority heal. But again, ideally, you try to keep the heal over time going and going and going. It's not obvious because you don't really see. Sometimes in the heat of battle, it's kind of hard to see if the heal over time is going. But usually, you'll start noticing if you keep an eye on the health bar of your team. Usually, you'll notice right away that the health are starting to go down. Odds are the heal over time isn't working anymore, so you cast it again. So you start by casting your heal over time. If it's not enough, you go with maybe Arc Lightning. If it's not enough, you cast your heal that heals everyone. And then again, on the situation, if you need to heal 3 people, if you need to heal 1 person, or again, if you need to heal a little bit everyone. So you pretty much cycle through your loadout as you need it. It's situational. Depending on the situation, you will use different powers. It's a bit complicated at first. Like I remember at some point I thought, well, healing is simple enough. You see the health bar of the people go down and you heal. And I remember in the past I would suggest to some new players who were wondering what power they should use. I would say, you're new, try healer. It's simple enough to use. There's enough subtleties depending on the situation that a lot of people struggle with healing, and they don't understand the difference between a group heal and a priority heal, and the heal over time. To them, they're casting a heal, it should heal people, and they don't quite understand that different healings will work differently depending on the situation, and different healings will be needed depending on the situation. I'm going to try to shoot a supercharge, so let's try and supercharge and recharge it a bit. Usually with a full supercharge bar, you can cast a group transducer twice. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to show you what it actually does when you do cast it. So let's give it a try. So basically what it does is that it covers everyone in a bubble of energy, of electric energy that shields them, which is somewhat useful, but the healer shield, I'm used to playing controllers, and usually the controller shields are pretty strong. I couldn't help but think that the healer shield's not quite as strong as the controller shield, so I don't like using them very often. But the reason why I would use Group Transducer is not so much for the shield, but for the fact that it's another option to have a heal over time. So if you're struggling in a tough situation and your heal over time, your group heal, and your Arc Lightning doesn't quite cut it, then using Group Transducer could be a good option to be able to help you go through a tough spot. And also, it protects your group and it heals them at the same time. So they don't receive damage, at least for a short while, and they gain health. So that should be able to help them survive through a tough spot. Sometimes there's some missions where the mission goes fairly smooth, and then you hit that one tough spot that the mission has, and then the group transducer could help you survive through that tough spot. I hope it made some sort of sense. I know it's a bit complicated or convoluted sometimes to understand. So now that you've seen what the abilities do, so basically Recover will help you heal yourself and 3 people in the group. Bioelectric Surge will heal yourself and 1 other person in the group. Group Transducer will protect everyone in the group and heal them over time as well. Galvanize is your heal over time. Biocapacitor is a heal that heals everyone in the group. And Arc Lightning, I think it also heals everyone in the group, but also there's a distance factor. Basically, if let's say the sparring target is one of my friends, and I'm right here, if I cast Galvanize, it will heal my friend. But sadly, if I'm at the very end of the map, or even if I'm out of line of sight, and I try to heal my friend, not gonna work. The heal will not reach him. Or sometimes if there's an obstacle between you and your friend, if you cast a heal, it's not going to reach him. There's a lot of abilities, whether it's healing abilities for the healer, or even with controller or tank. Sometimes there's abilities that you want to cast to help your friends, but if they are out of line of your line of sight, it's not going to work. Like sometimes you'll, especially in certain maps where there's tight corners or stuff like that, if you're here and your friends are around the corner, your heals are not going to be able to reach them. You have to be within line of sight to be able to heal your friends. Sometimes the reach sometimes of the heal can be pretty long. In some cases, sometimes it could be that far. So in a big room, sometimes you don't have to worry so much about being close to your friends, but you have to make sure that there's not an obstacle between you and your friends to be able to heal them. And also you have to be sure that your friends are not maybe around a corner in order to be able to heal them. So again, I hope this made some sort of sense. If not, feel free to ask so in the comment section down below, and I'll see what I can do about answering your questions. So as always, guys, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.